by the United Nations eventually. 6 months ago, and I posted it on my website. 6 months ago, there was going to be a redevelopment of a property called the Joski's Building, which is right on the corner of Commerce and Alamo, an old building, old department store. They were going to redevelop it and add some lofts or apartments to the top of it. And the UN said no. That if they did that, it was going to jeopardize their relationship. Now, I don't know about you, but I call that influence. I call that UN influence. And, they backed off. The other thing that the UN is insisting in the Alamo is that it become more friendly for tourists as far as the historical presentation. Now, what does that mean? Well, to me, it means we're not going to be able to insult folks, I guess, or make them feel insulted in the explanation of the story of the Alamo. Now, I don't know how that can be done. You explained to me how we can't talk about Japanese when you're talking about the historical aspects of Pearl Harbor. How can you not talk about Mexicans in talking about the Battle of the Alamo? This is not to say that you talk disparately, but the fact is we did fight against Mexico for our independence. How can that be? How is that hurting people's feelings? But again, that's something that the local government has been discussing. Please, please, please remember, my friends, that Joaquin Castro, are the products of a family, of a mother, who was very, very active in the Raza Unida. My brother knew her personally. Very, very active in the Raza Unida. She made lots of comments about how awful it was that the defenders of the Alamo were a bunch of drunks and racist. That's what she says. Now, given that, can the apple fall far from the tree? What do you think the perspective of her sons is going to be? Again, their influence in San Antonio is tremendous. The influence that we've got right now from liberal Hispanics coupled with politically correct business people, business interests, is driving our politics. We out here in outside the loop, outside of the downtown area, are paying ridiculous prices for our water rates. But you know what's happening downtown? Is that they give incentives for anyone who wants to build a loft, anyone who wants to build a rental property. So what are you doing? You're paying for them. You think that's fair? The other thing that's happening is, again, the restriction of mobility. The whole idea of the whole battle against the toll roads. My friends, if I hear, again, the argument about how we need to restrict, we need to control traffic. That's the way that they always push it. We need to control traffic. Because why? Well, because we need to discourage people from using fossil fuels. Well, folks, at what point does that mean that I have to give my car up? Because eventually it does. Eventually it does. At what point am I encouraged to just use public transportation because that's what they want to do? Recently again, there was a $50,000 grant given to the Texas Railway system so that they can start planning. It hasn't even been for a vote, but they can start planning to do a commuter train from downtown San Antonio to Austin, actually to Round Rock. Wasn't even, they didn't ask us. They started planning it. Again, where are we in this matter? Who's going to end up paying for it? Because I guarantee, public transportation never pays for itself. Never pays for itself. Whether it's subways, whether it's trains. I mean, California's about to go broke. Well, not already. Over that crazy bullet train that they put together from San Francisco to Los Angeles. My friends, it's not about, the issue is not about focusing on what is happening in Washington. If you want to stop the silliness in Washington, you start here. The tree of liberty and freedom has to have strong roots. It's got to have strong roots. And when it doesn't have strong roots, the fruit that tree is going to bear is going to be terrible. It's not going to be good. And unfortunately, my friends, while we are voting at 10% and less, we're allowing tyranny. We're allowing special interest to fill our role. And that is very, very difficult. I mean, one of the things that I keep telling my friends over at the GOP office here in town is, what are you doing to help the precincts? What are you doing to help the precincts to rally around local issues? Let me tell you who's been very, very good at rallying people around local issues. It's Citizens Organized for Public Service, Metro, Cops Metro. You heard of them? They are the Saul Alinsky group in San Antonio. I mean, they are about as radical and communist as you can get, but that's okay. That is their role, and they have been around for well over 30 years, 40 years, maybe 30 years at least. And they are very good at rallying people around a local issue, like a pothole, like a vacant lot. And the only thing they ever do with those potholes and vacant lots is get money for them so that they can help elect people. They never do anything about the pothole or the vacant lot. They never get it done. You know, they've been working on poverty programs in San Antonio for 30 years, and they still have poverty on the west side, south side, and east side. They still have poverty. You know, it's a poverty industry that they run. It's a poverty industry. On the other hand, we seem to not be able to explain to folks, we conservatives don't seem to be able to explain to folks that this pothole needs to be filled, and if the city councilman doesn't pay attention to it, or the county precinct or the county commissioner doesn't pay attention to it, then he or she needs to be held accountable. And we fail to do that. We fail to do that. When was the last time you had a group of people go and rattle the chain of a local city council person? When was the last time it happened?
On Highway 90.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Highway 90. They're doing a great job. These guys are doing a great job at it. You know? And they are just, trying to ignore them completely. And again, the whole Highway 90 is a perfect example, my friends. The process was ignored. Just like there is a Constitution, just like there's a Constitution of the United States that should be followed, and if you've noticed, is being shredded, there is a city charter that should be followed. And that city charter is ignored consistently. I will tell you, I worked for 2 years as the director of real estate for the city of San Antonio, the director of real estate, okay? My role was to buy, sell, and rent San Antonio city property. I have stories to tell you about how rents were ignored because they were good people. We don't want to bother them. We don't want to hurt their feelings. About how property was sold at this price or at that price, depending on who it was. Of how property was laid there and ignored because you know, nobody cares about that neighborhood, nobody's bothering, nobody's saying anything, so what the heck. On the other hand, how there was an absolute effort to grab other property. Talk about grabbing. Right now, as we speak, the city wants to annex several 100,000 people. They want to annex them. Are the people going to have a chance to speak and to vote on it? Of course not. And if you have heard the comment by the director of the city office that's doing the annexation, the planning the annexation, he admitted that they want to move quickly before there is any state legislation that will allow the people to vote.
I thought they're backing off on it because they can't provide them.
They're backing off a little bit, but they have expanded on it. They backed off and said, well, maybe we'll hold up.
Fire service, 30 miles down the road.
They have backed off a little bit. Don't be fooled. They have backed off. The person who's running things in San Antonio, my friends, is Cheryl Scully. Make no bones about that. And Cheryl Scully is trying to run an end run around the mayor. The mayor is applying some brakes, but in the meantime, while she is applying a little bit of the brakes, they have gone from annexing this much to planning to annex this much. And why? Because later on when they'll say, well, okay, we'll just annex this much, it'll be a compromise. It'll be a compromise.
Doesn't that also prevent those areas that they've said they're interested in annexing from incorporating and preventing annexation?
Do they what?
Doesn't it prevent them from incorporating to prevent annexation?
Oh yeah.
Once they say we're going to annex.
Exactly. At that point, it is like Adolf Hitler looking at Poland at that point in 1939. It's that simple. And people said, well, that's an extreme example. It's not an extreme example, folks. It is realistic. That is exactly what is happening. These people do not have. Imagine Americans who don't have a chance to vote on whether or not to be incorporated into another government. I mean, where is that thinking? Well, that thinking is just fine. When you come from somebody, who knows better, like these folks downtown, and they know better, okay? A city planner, my friends, can be your worst nightmare.
This one is.
A city planner can be your worst nightmare because they know how we should live. They know how the roads should look. They know how houses should be assembled. They know how the world should look. And right now, we are being pushed along. Our policies are being developed by planners. And we don't have a say because we don't know any better. Because, as I have been told on several occasions by folks like Ray Lopez, by the councilman, you guys, you have a short-sighted view. You're not supposed to be individuals anymore. You're supposed to be part of the community. Someone who's an individual is no longer someone who should be tolerated because when you're selfish, first of all, okay? And secondly, the world doesn't run. Well, I'm sorry, but friends, the whole idea of American political life was based on individual liberties and freedoms. Okay? I don't care. I really don't. I don't care who you sleep with or don't sleep with. As long as I have a right to believe my belief. It's not an issue. However, the idea of being a victim has been sold. Do you realize right now that one of Walmart here in San Antonio got in trouble because they were selling a Bandito costume? I mean, who gets their feelings hurt over that? I mean, for crying out loud.
They banned a restaurant in California from handing out sombreros to school age kids as the prize in as their meal from a Mexican food restaurant was handing out sombreros to kids.
It is
and they banned
insanity. It is absolute
They can't
insanity.
ban it. They can't do that.
it. They did it to the
I
well.
was running that business, I keep handing
But see,
it out.
this is the thing.
Lost.
No, here's the problem. Here's the problem, guys. Is that we don't challenge them.
Exactly.
We don't challenge them. We don't. One of the headaches that we've got, my friends, again, I bring you back to old Highway 90. You know, when things happen, we rarely challenge these people. We rarely challenge them. You know, I don't even know who my precinct chairman is for the GOP. I don't. I'm sorry. And I'm about as active as you can find. Okay? Our precinct chairman should be out there talking to people, meeting them. And if not them, then you guys should be. You guys, as grassroots organizers, should be out there talking to folks and educating them and informing them. And if not, tell them to listen to our show. You know, we talk about what's happening here in a way nobody else is going to do it. In a way that nobody else is going to do it. I'll tell you, Trey Ware, a good friend of mine, Trey won't touch the issues like I go after. I mean, you know, sometimes you just gotta call it like it is. If these people, if H.B. Zachary's behaving like a political whore, what can you say? You know, if some of our Republican leaders are behaving like political whores, what can you say? You know, we have a lot of folks who have no backbone, and the people that do have backbone are shouting us down, are backing us off. I, as a conservative Hispanic, am shouted down on a regular basis. You as a conservative gay man, I bet you're, oh my gosh, I can't imagine what happens to you. But there's nobody else to back us up. And people are ashamed of us. I have been told by several of our Republican Hispanic leaders, stop insulting them. Stop hurting their feelings. You know, I've asked Blue Light many times, what part of the word illegal do you not understand when we're talking about illegal immigration? What part of the word illegal do you not understand? And they get upset. Don't say that. Don't say that. Why? Am I saying something wrong? I mean, either we do have a border or we don't have a border. I mean, that's all I'm saying. And either they are citizens or they're not citizens. And either they did enter the United States legally or they didn't enter. You know, we've got this whole situation in San Francisco, and then I'll open it up for questions. We've got this whole situation, my friends, recently, where this woman in San Francisco was shot by an illegal alien. Remember that? Oh my gosh, they make a big deal about sanctuary cities. You remember that? Okay? Let me tell you where sanctuary cities begin. At City Hall. They begin at City Hall. They begin at City Hall with our new reinstated, rehired police chief, you know, who has testified over and over again, we can't arrest illegal aliens because they help us with crime. Well, maybe if we didn't have illegal aliens, we wouldn't have crime. I don't know. Silly me. The situation, my friends, is that if you want to stop, you know, now everybody's talking about sanctuary cities in Washington. We should talk about them here. We should talk about them here. You want to talk about any issue that's going on, including the international ones. They start here. You want to talk about climate change? Here. You want to talk about abortions? Here. Do you want to talk about immigration? Here. Because I guarantee the professional career politicians, they start here. And if you want to chop them off at their legs, this is where you do it. Because by the time they get to the State House, those, let me tell you, and the Tea Party had some tremendous disappointments this past year. They had at least 6, 7 people that were elected by the Tea Parties statewide into Austin, to the state legislature, who just upon getting up there immediately sided with the rhinos. Immediately sided with the rhinos. And they were all disappointed, they were all upset. Well, you know, guys, it's because we don't vet these elected officials, because we ourselves aren't involved. You know? We need to, I mean, I would like to see you guys sponsor a debate. How you doing? I would like to see folks, you know, these organizations sponsor a debate. You know? And I will guarantee, I mean, there was a debate last year between Kiko Canseco and Hurd. And as you recall, Kiko didn't show up. And that hurt him. That hurt him. And Kiko was a good friend of mine. It hurt him. But the fact of the matter is, my friends, we've got to hold these guys up. We've got to hold them accountable locally. We don't. I would hope, if there's anything that I would encourage you to do, is to reach out to your local elected officials. Ask them to come and speak. Ask them to come here and document. Yes, they showed up. No, they didn't show up. Yes, they spoke. No, they didn't speak. You know, no, they didn't answer your question. Put them on the spot. I guarantee that's what the lefties do. I mean, cops, Metro, they're good at taking everybody down there, demanding a minimum wage for the city. You know, they took a ton of people down there and demanded a minimum wage for the city. You know?
They probably hired them.
Well, yeah.
I was towing a car the other year. I was a delegate for Ron Paul, and this girl was like, "Oh yeah, I was a grassroots supporter for a while." She said, "How much did they pay you?" I said, "Pay me." She said, "Yeah, they paid us to go around and talk to people."
Folks,
I was like, "You're crazy."
That's what's called astroturf.
I have reported, and this was